that there's a new sweetener that tastes and looks just like sugar but without the carbs, and that it's all natural? Now, I know it sounds too good to be true, but it isn't. It's called allulose, and I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about it, so stay tuned. Hey everybody, Erin here with Healthy Mom, Happy Family, and thanks so much for joining me here today. Now, I know if you have diabetes or you've been working to reduce your blood sugar, the idea of an all-natural sweetener that looks and tastes and acts just like sugar, but without the carbs and without the calories, sounds pretty amazing, right? But I know exactly what you're thinking right now, because I know that there's other sweeteners out there that promise the same thing. They're low in carbs, they're low in calories, but sometimes they come with some unwanted side effects. Maybe they have an aftertaste, or maybe they cause some gas and bloating. And that's why I am so excited to share everything you need to know about this new sweetener called allulose. Because allulose is everything you'd want sugar to be with none of the side effects. You can enjoy it without spiking your blood sugar. There's no unwanted side effects. It tastes just like sugar, so there's no aftertaste. And so I really wanted to make this video today to share with you everything you need to know, because this is a newer sweetener. It's available, you can buy it online, you can find it in some grocery stores, but it's new enough that you might not have heard about it or know enough about it. So I wanted to share with you everything you need to know, from where to find it and how to use it and what it means for blood sugar with you today. Now, before we dive in, I just want to remind you that if you're looking for tips and tricks on managing type 2 diabetes or looking for some blood sugar friendly recipes, I would love to invite you to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you never miss a new video. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you what allulose is. We're going to talk about if it's a good choice for people with diabetes, and I'm going to show you how to use it and even talk about the potential health benefits it can offer. Okay, so who's ready? Let's get started. So I told you allulose is natural. I told you it basically contains 0 carbs and 0 calories. So you're probably wondering, what the heck is it, right? What is this ingredient? So it's actually a natural sugar, and it's found in small amounts in foods like raisins and figs and even in maple syrup. Now, because it's such a small amount of this type of sugar found in these foods, it's actually what we consider a rare sugar. And that's why allulose, it's not really considered an artificial sweetener, right? Because it's a naturally occurring sugar. But it has a chemical property that's really similar to fructose. So fructose is the sugar naturally found in fruits. And that makes sense because allulose is naturally found in fruits. But it doesn't have the same impact when we look at blood sugar response. Now, allulose, like I said, it's a rare sugar, right? It's found in very small amounts in various fruits and foods like maple syrup. So in order to produce enough large quantities of it so that you can actually manufacture it, companies use an enzyme to convert fructose in the fruits into allulose. So when you see allulose on a food label, it is classified as a carbohydrate, but it's not classified as a sugar because our body treats it very differently than other sugars. Now, I know I said before that allulose is pretty much calorie-free and carbohydrate-free, and that's not exactly true, okay? It's pretty much free, but not completely void of calories and carbohydrates. Allulose contains 1/10 of the calories and fewer carbs than table sugar. And so this is why when we use it to replace sugar in recipes, it's a great substitute because it's significantly reducing the amount of calories and carbohydrates, but at the same time, allulose has this texture and flavor very similar to sugar. And it behaves like it too, because you can use it in cooked recipes, you can heat it, you can use it in cooled recipes. So anything you can do with sugar, you can do with allulose. You can even caramelize with it. Now, it does have 70% the sweetness of table sugar. So if you are, replacing all the sugar in a recipe with allulose, you might need to adjust the amount of it because it isn't quite as sweet. But 70% is still pretty sweet, and you can always increase accordingly with the allulose to get that desired sweetness in a recipe. Okay, so I know allulose sounds really great right now, right? But I'm sure you're probably wondering if there's any side effects when you eat it. And that's what I really, really love about allulose, is that unlike some other sweeteners out there, it resists getting fermented in the gut. So what happens with some sugar alcohols is when they get to the gut, they get broken down by the gut bacteria, and this is what causes those digestive symptoms like bloating and gas. Well, that doesn't happen with allulose. Most of the allulose you're eating is actually not going directly into the intestines. What's happening is it gets absorbed into the bloodstream, And instead of going through the intestines, it's actually excreted through your urine. So it's not metabolized in the body, it's not being used as fuel, and that's why it doesn't really have any impact on your blood sugar, but it also doesn't have any unpleasant side effects in the gut either. Okay, so I know it sounds pretty good right now, everything we've talked about allulose. So if you're sitting there and you have diabetes, you're probably wondering if allulose is a good choice as a sweetener for you. And in my opinion, the answer is yes. Because one great thing about allulose is it's low in calorie, and it has been shown to actually help lower your blood sugar levels. So there's some research out there that suggests that allulose may actually help to increase insulin sensitivity in your body and improve the beta cells in the pancreas, improve their function. Those are the cells in your body that actually make insulin. Now, more research, of course, needs to be done, but that's some really exciting benefits that this potential sweetener may offer. Okay, so let's talk about the safety of allulose, because when it comes to sweeteners, safety is always a question that comes up, and I think it's a very valid question. Now, when it comes to allulose, the science on the sweetener to date has shown it to be safe. When we look at what typically happens with sweeteners, they have to get approved before they can be used in the food supply. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, they've accepted allulose onto that list of foods generally recognized as safe. So it is considered safe to use as a sweetener in foods. Now, most people, when you look at tolerance of allulose, most people, they can enjoy allulose as a sweetener and they don't get any kind of digestive upset or distress. But you gotta remember, everybody's different, right? Everybody responds to different things differently, so keep that in mind. If you try allulose and you feel that you're sensitive to it or you have any GI impact from it, then it's not the right choice of sweetener for you. So, talk with your diabetes care team, talk with your healthcare provider. The chances of allulose causing abdominal pain or bloating or diarrhea, they're minimal, but can't say that it can't happen. Everybody's an individual. So if something like that were to occur when you were using a sweetener, stop using it. And typically, as soon as your body digests it, those symptoms would go away. Okay, so let's talk about the potential health benefits of allulose. Because I mentioned before that allulose can actually be beneficial for people with diabetes, but there are some other health benefits that go beyond just diabetes. And I think this is pretty exciting. Now, again, these are small research studies. I think more research needs to be done, but it's certainly something to look into too. So right now, the research suggests that if you use allulose, it might actually benefit weight management. Some studies found that allulose can actually have a protective effect on preventing against the progression of obesity and by protecting against fat gains. Now, what's really interesting with this, they specifically saw this targeting that visceral fat or belly fat, that abdominal fat area. And we know that large amounts of belly fat or abdominal fat can increase the risk of type 2 diabetes and heart disease. So more studies definitely need to be conducted. We have to find out exactly why this is happening and if this happens in larger populations. But I think that's pretty exciting that there's a sweetener that has no side effects, that may improve blood sugar, and may also offer health benefits like helping to reduce visceral fat. So it's certainly something to keep your eye on and look for more research on as well. All right, so if you're as excited about allulose as I am, you probably want to know, now that we talked about like it can be beneficial and it tastes and acts just like sweetener, like how do you use allulose, right? So I mentioned before, but it does behave just like regular sugar. So pretty much anytime you're using sugar, you can swap out allulose instead. So if you wanted to bake with it, you can do that. If a recipe calls for sugar, you can swap it out with allulose. If you wanted to make a drink mix and you wanted to use allulose as a sweetener, you can do that too. So no matter what you want to do with it, whether you want to bake with it, whether you want to use it in a cold recipe, it works just like sugar. The only thing you have to keep in mind is that it's 70% as sweet. So it's not 100% the sweetness of sugar. So if you are using it as a total replacement in a recipe, let's say we're making cookies and instead of using a cup of sugar, we're going to use a cup of allulose, you might have to adjust the amount of allulose you use to get that desired level of sweetener. So you might want to replace 1 cup of sugar with 1 1/3 cups of allulose to get that sweetness. So play around with it, look for recipes that incorporate it so you can see how much they're using to get that desired level. But that's really the only consideration when it comes to using allulose, and the only thing that really makes it different from sugar in a recipe. All right, so let's talk about the bottom line in allulose as a sugar substitute. So basically it's a low calorie, low carb natural sweetener, safe to use, has few side effects, and there might even be some potential health benefits from using it as well. So if you ask me, I think it is very promising. And if you are somebody that has a sweet tooth like I do, and you want a way to incorporate more sweetness into your diet in a better way, I think using allulose as a swap is definitely worth a try. Just remember that it's only 70% as sweet as sugar, so you can't use it as an exact 1-to-1 ratio swap. You do have to do a little bit of adjustments to get that desired sweetness. Outside of that, it's pretty easy to use. You can find it online, you can find it in many grocery retailers, so not hard to find, not hard to get and use, and it's something that may be potentially beneficial too. Now, keep in mind, you're an individual, so if you do choose to use allulose, I would definitely make sure to monitor your blood sugar, see your response to it. If you found that this particular sweetener did cause a rise in blood sugar, then it's something that might not be appropriate for you to use. Always talk with your diabetes care team to see what's the right choice for you and if allulose could be part of your meal plan, but I do think it's something worthwhile to look into and consider using. So let me know, have you tried allulose yet, and how do you like to use it, or do you have a certain recipe you put it in? I'd love to hear from you. So comment below and let me know. And if you liked today's video, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss new tips, tricks, and recipes. Thanks so much for joining me.